All right. I think what we do need to do is start with the Ruben story, because that is probably the most tantalizing one. And then we got sports stuff.
I'm just going to be very honest. Out of respect for Fanatics and a healthy fear at this point, quite frankly.
That's probably more of
I
it.
am toning it down more than I would for others.
when there's billionaire people in the hobby, now you start getting scared.
Was this in Brazil, or did I make that up?
Oh, I don't actually know the location, geographic location.
Okay.
I know his name was Antone Griezmann.
So you don't know his name either. Okay.
I can't pronounce it. I can spell it.
Crazy famous soccer player. This is the dude who just did some live stuff with Bullpen LA.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, Madrid. Maybe it was Madrid.
Sure.
Whatever. Out of the country, like this whole big event. Good for them. Well, Ruben and David Liner. So Ruben is the CEO of Fanatics, the entire company. Liner is the president of Tops. They go down there. They bring some boxes. He's ripping some wax. They're getting some social, media engagement, all that. He brings, at one point, the clip that has now become infamous, they bring a box of 2023 Sterling. Love the product. Hate the price. I mean, it's, they've made sure you cannot make any money on that, and that's okay. They can do whatever they want with it, but it's a brutal product.
Sure.
Cut autos and that are obviously the product chasers. There's a Ruth. I think there might even be a Wagner, although I might have made that up. There's always a handful of just major names, Jackie Robinson being one of them, obviously.
Yes.
So they give this dude who kicks a ball a box. Again, I don't know what happened off camera. I've only seen the video on camera, and they hand him a box that is not sealed at all, no wrap. And Sterling comes wrapped in plastic, but then also has the flimsy cardboard band around it. Even the two individual mini boxes inside, to me, seem to not be wrapped. There was no ripping. Maybe that is the only portion of this I will give benefit of the doubt to, by the way. It's very
cut away.
Very possible, like, hey, dude, let's just rip this open so you don't look like a fool trying to open this because you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Fine. No problem. I've ripped 6 cases of this, by the way, and I've watched at least 10 to 15 others. So he goes first, the soccer dude, and he pulls the Jackie Robinson 1-of-1 cut auto from a box handed to him from the CEO of the company with the president of Top sitting next to him.
What are the odds? Oh, president of Trading Cards Fanatics, by the way, not of Tops.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then there's, of course, 2 cards in that box. Ruben then rips. So he's like, oh, yeah, just a Trout, on my side.
25.
Dual patch auto out of 25, which, by the way, is better than 97% of the cards in that product, maybe more. Yeah.
So this is...
Did you literally just hand pack the box and bring it to him? Because you will not in a billion years convince me that thing was sealed and you didn't know. Because there was no situation where you're going to have this whole social media push around this crazy expensive product and you're going to rip a Wade Boggs auto.
How many times have we heard that, Backyard's getting loaded boxes, this guy's getting loaded boxes? And to my knowledge, that has never been the case, as far as no one has ever proved any of that. It's just theory or speculation. You could not say that this was not a loaded box.
Yeah, which, by the way, you can believe, because I've already heard some guys make content, like, everybody thinks there's no loaded boxes. Nope. Just to be clear, I do not think, and I still don't think, Backyard Breaks has ever been hand-fed boxes. I do think that's exactly what happened here. Both can be true. I don't think it's true in their case. I absolutely think it's true
But
here.
that's a problem, to know that you can do that, to know that they do have the capability and have now done it, and given maybe it was a social media situation and not for financial gain like it would have been for Backyard or something like that. But still, that's
brutal.
That you can do that. And what did you mentioned before also, who was the girl in...
Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin
Clark in Bowman Inception University. I don't know if it was just a base card or if it was her actual auto, but she ripped 1 box, just happens to hit her card. Again, I've ripped 6 to 7 cases. We have not hit a single Caitlin Clark auto, and we've hit 3 or 4 base cards and 1 gold base refractor. Not every, but 1 box, and just happens to have one on camera.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, with a card like that, if it's a base card, I guess I don't really care. Like, hey, we planted this, we know it's in there. Fine. But a product chase, that's an issue. But I also fear that we're starting to get into this world, though, where, and it's kind of twofold, right? Like, you start to get to a point, though, and I've always said this about monopolies anywhere else, by the way, and I do think Fanatics has tendencies of a monopoly. I don't know if they are legally one or whatever. I have no clue. Monopolies are great when they're being built, right? Because they come in here. It's just like the real estate market. Like, You come in, everybody's your best buddy. We're going to do all these things. We're going to improve the neighborhood.
There's
Everything's going to be
jail-free cards.
Yeah, get out of jail free cards or some stupid guy with a monocle on. No,
That's a myth. He doesn't have a monocle.
you wouldn't know the first thing about it.
Okay.
We're going to improve amenities around the area. But then once they own the neighborhood, the grass stops getting cut and the pool is not as clean and there's nobody to complain to.
Yep.
Like once a monopoly does take over, it's kind of like, well, cool. You could sit here and make content all day up and down and do whatever you want, say whatever you want, and all the content creators out there will, and we will as well. That's why we're talking about it now. At the end of the day, though, I just have this thought of, so what? Not for us, by the way. I'm not saying so. I'm not excusing them. I think the action is horrible for the hobby, but great. So and let's say everybody bands together, right? We get together, Card Collector 2, Sports Card Investor, Sports Card Radio, all these huge audiences, we get together. We've probably got 1 million followers and listeners, all of us combined. Great. Cool. What are we actually going to do to affect change?
I think that is the only option, though, is the more voices. That's the really only thing you can do is affect the people who are doing the buying of the product. And while, if you just named 4 different content creators, who cares, 4 buyers, but the microphones that they have behind them to influence their audiences, that is the only thing that can really affect change. Because it's the same thing that's, overthrowing a government or something is very similar in the sense of you have to have a number of people who don't have power to join together to be able to say, hey, we're not going to stand for this anymore.
But here's what's
this
always
is a very dramatic take for what is going on. What
but
happened
you're starting to
is
see
a serious
tendencies.
thing.
Yeah. But here's even that though. I've been around this hobby long enough to know they can still just throw money at people and say, hey, well, we'll just give you the product. You with a big microphone break. Or hey, you who have no microphone, why don't we make you into the next star? We'll make you into the next Backyard Breaks.
Yeah.
There's always going to be those guys who are going to step up and take the check. By the way, I'd love to sit here and take the moral high ground. You approached me 6-7 years ago when I was struggling financially and be like, hey, we're going to throw you a bunch of money, go against your ethics a little bit and just kind of roll. Probably a different answer than you get today, just to be honest. But that's really where it's at.
And to be completely fair, they're not going to come to you and say, go against your ethics. They will paint it in a way that makes it seem okay. And that's I'm sure that's what they're doing, and that's what anybody who in their position is saying right now. Granted, we could have details that are not 100% accurate, but from everything it looks like they have access to loaded boxes and give them out in certain situations. That would indicate to me, to you, to many listeners and watchers of that they can then go against things that they have said in the past, where they're not going. There was so many comments in the past about how they're going to affect change in the hobby for the good. They're going to limit certain products. They're going to make it a more desirable place, grow it 10x. But these actions don't do that.
Yeah, and again, I always get nervous. Where's the check and balance? You have to, real steps, too, by the way. I'm not talking about us making a podcast, somebody making a YouTube video. Where is the actual check and balance system here? And I think we're going to start getting into the territory where there just isn't one. And then you couple that with the fact that even some of the other moves, I have no real love in my heart for distribution, but they are kind of a necessary evil almost. And they're not evil, but to state things that way. Distribution seems to be getting cut unbelievable. Distribution, though, next level. I don't really care about distribution, but go next level. The shops, the breakers, and I know some people immediately hear that. Breakers, who cares? Well, a lot of breakers, at least the good ones, have communities. They supply a need for their community, as do local card shops. And I still question, how does somebody like Blowout have unbelievable amounts of product? Because I talked to 2 sources yesterday, and I'm not going to name either one, and I hate to do the off-the-record crap, but it was an off-the-record conversation with both. How is it they have a deal to just have this much product? And if that's the case, why? Why do we need a massive retailer who's allowed to set pricing? How is that good for the market? And oh, by the way, they just happen to have a massive break channel as well.
Yeah. There's
just a lot of this stuff where I look at it and I'm like, man, at some point, I just feel like if they really want to take the gloves off and cut throats of who they want to, and we've seen that, by the way, with people who have accounts now. There are people now that have accounts that 6 months ago, nobody knew even broke.
Yep.
And they probably don't have much business breaking or selling product. It becomes a real weird situation.